Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
I'm Derek Lemaster.
This is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week. Go over the horror news, and I see Lydia's wearing a blanket in this 90-degree weather. How's that going for you?
Well, this room was kind of freezing for a second because the AC was like cranked.
Oh, man.
But I knew I had to shut it off to record, or you guys would be able to hear it really loud. So
Hey,
it's just a little chilly right now.
That's a rough life. Meanwhile, I have no AC up here, and I'm melting into oblivion. I wish I was the heat
I'm in my
miser,
basement.
because then I could love it.
And it's a breezy 65 degrees at all times.
It's breezy down there.
That's why I hate
No.
Derek. I just hate his face. Look at it. How are you guys doing tonight?
Breezy Derek.
Oh, he breezes out his butthole all the time.
That 100% is true. I've got poison ivy, so I don't know that I'm doing so great.
Ah, fun.
Yeah,
I know.
Derek and I
Yeah,
were
I'm a
talking
fan.
about this today, Lydia. Do you remember when we shot Hookman?
Yeah.
And like everybody got poison ivy,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get poison ivy.
I didn't either.
You and I didn't get it. You and I
Yeah.
didn't get it, but you know why? We were wearing pants.
Yeah,
Gabby definitely got poison ivy because she was in nothing but a t-shirt and like underwear, essentially.
Yeah.
And Jake was in his pants and in the unbuttoned shirt. But I was like, God, hey. And then when we went to shoot the second night, luckily we shot at a different area because we got kicked out. But Derek, didn't you say like you wore like you threw your pants away after that shoot?
Yeah, I had worn a pair of pants, which I loved them. I had them forever, but I wore them and then immediately just took them off and threw them in the trash can at the reservoir when we got done. I was like, fuck you. I'm not getting... I don't care. I'm not getting this again. So that is what I
It's all
did.
right. It was for art. It all worked out in the end. It was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, we have a lot to talk about with tonight's movie, The First Omen, which is actually not the first Omen. It's like the sixth or seventh Omen, I think.
Chronologically?
But chronologically, this is the first. So we'll talk about that. But first, I got some horror news. Guys, let's start with the big sad news of the day. Legendary actor, world-renowned Donald Sutherland passed away today at the age of 88.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
You know Donald
saw
Sutherland
that.
from every movie, but most importantly for us in our genre, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Just, Kiefer Sutherland's father. We can go through and name all of his movies: Animal House, MASH, even the more recently the Hunger Games movies. But just a legendary actor, right?
Yeah. Pretty iconic.
88 years old. I mean, he had a good
Sad
run. Real good run. And it left behind a great legacy.
Oh, for sure.
And not only in the movies, but, with his children as well. So, congratulations on a great life. This is interesting, guys. Kara Sedgwick and Kevin Bacon, husband and wife, are planning on directing a horror movie starring Sosie Bacon, who we last saw in Smile.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of
pretty
this?
That sounds promising.
The
Yeah.
Nepo police are going to be in hot pursuit on this one, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, right. I mean, Variety notes that that Kara Sedgwick and Kevin Bacon are planning to co-direct the Untitled Horror Project, but it may be easier said than done because there's rules against it with the DGA for dual directing credits. Basically, there's rules in place for the DGA if you're in the union. But that sounds interesting. I mean, we'll watch it, right? I mean, it's Kevin Bacon. It's
I'd pull the old Batman on him and give him the bird.
Batman doesn't do that. What the hell are you talking about?
I've seen Batman give the bird.
I have never in my life.
Fine, I'll pull a
Top Gun.
I can't think of it. No.
Gave him the bird.
What was the Atlanta Falcons? Who was their running back in the 1998? He did the dirty bird. No, I think he did go there, but he was more Tampa Bay. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'd give him the dirty bird. We can move on.
We're gonna skip all. We're gonna cut out all of that. That is like
no. We're gonna keep it all.
Horrible section.
Give him the Batman dirty bird.
We've got some a little bit of news from They Follow, the follow up to It Follows. Micah Monroe says that she read it and it's quote, I read it and it's so fucking good. It's so good. I'm so excited. I think where you'll meet Jay at this point is maybe not what's expected, but it's cool. It's just bigger and darker and more fucked up. Reading it was the craziest thing ever.
I told you my theory, right? How you beat that?
How's that?
You go visit a institution where pleasure is paid for. I don't know if that's a...
You go to a whorehouse.
Yeah, that's another way you could say that. And then, you don't even have to worry about it, man. Because, it's never coming back to you.
I mean, that's an idea. Yeah, so, I mean, what do you guys think of They Follow? I mean, you excited to see it?
Definitely.
Yeah, The first one I thought was pretty good. I don't know what we rated it, but why not?
Well,
you know what? If you got a good
highly.
Story.
Yeah, I really like that movie.
Yeah, I really do too. It's the vibe. It's the vibe about it, I think, is what we really like, right?
Yeah, it's very nostalgic. You get a really...
Yeah, it's very Carpenter-y.
Yeah. And it's probably the audio tones more than anything.
Yeah.
It sounded like something John would compose.
Old John, yep.
Yeah.
Guys, Jordan Peele has a release date for his fourth movie. It's releasing Halloween 2026.
Shit, that's a long time away.
So all we know, it's October 23rd, 2026.
Is it Halloween Lives Again?
I mean, I'd be down with that. I'd be down for that. Go ahead, sure. I mean, it can't get any worse.
I saw a meme today, and it was a picture of somebody, a really, really old lady who looked a little bit like Jamie Lee Curtis, and it was Jamie Lee Curtis on the set of Halloween Never Ends in 2033.
I'd be down. All right. Just a couple more here. This one is really big news, you guys. Really big news. So Mike Flanagan's Exorcist movie has a release date of March 13th, 2026.
It's my birthday.
So, it's Friday the 13th that year.
Yep.
Oh, man.
So we know what we're doing. We know where we're going to be. Because that's... that's going to be so good, guys. Right? That's going to be so good. Mike Flanagan, Exorcist, Mike Flanagan, we would go see it anyway, but Mike Flanagan doing The Exorcist, we're fucking there, man. You guys still excited about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could I be any more excited?
I'm so
And then
excited.
finally-
Can't you see it?
So we got some kind of news. I got a lot to break down here, guys. And I wanted to do this last because we might take a little bit of time on it. You ready? We have some crazy behind the scenes stuff and some updates on the A24 Crystal Lake project.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see if we can break some of this down. I kind of have to do bullet points here. But here's what we know. According to the Wrap did this new report, right, on this, and about the original vision. So apparently the reason that it didn't work out is there's several different things. One of the things was that the show was horribly over budget. Because they were taking forever to get scripts in. Now, the creative side is saying that, and by the creative side I mean Brian Fuller and company, were saying that they were so you have some camps saying that they weren't, after the writer's strike happened, they didn't, so the writers wrote first drafts of the script. Writer's strike happens, right? Then they didn't bring those writers back, which they are supposed to do due to the new rules of the arbitration of the writers union with the writer's strike. So there was delays in getting scripts finished and whatnot, and then also like the episodes as far as being over budget. Like they were saying that, like, I think trying to remember what it was. There was millions of dollars. $10 million per episode is what this budget ballooned to. Over $10 million per episode for like 8 episodes. So it would have cost around $85 million for this series at the rate it was going, which is fucking insane.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You could shoot that for $1.2 million an episode if you wanted to. Probably, right? Less. But if you're wanting to bring in actors and stuff, you know? But here's some crazy stuff we know that was planned. And we don't know if they're still using these scripts. We don't know what the direction of this is. We know that Peacock and A24 are still bringing this to us. We just don't know what it's going to look like, right? But one of the things was that the Wrap reported that Charlize Theron was being eyed to play Mrs. Voorhees in the series.
Whoa.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It's a big star. It's a big star.
It is a big star.
Really
but then
big
I'd
star.
really want Mrs. Voorhees to live anyway.
With you, I know. I agree.
She would be great at that, I think.
Oh, she'd be fantastic. I mean, she won an Oscar for Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd been fantastic. They described the series as being like an expanded prequel and then a remix of the rest of them. So what they were basically doing is playing with the lore. They're doing a prequel that would lead into the Masked Jason sequel. And they were going to take elements from the first 4 movies at least and mix everything around and play with it. They were describing it as a deconstruction of Friday the 13th, which I don't really love. You know, like, we don't need to deconstruct everything. Sometimes it's okay just to give us what we want. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's fine. Sometimes that's what there is to say. But we do know this, that we talked about how one of the episodes was written by Kevin Smith. You guys, or not Kevin Smith, Kevin Williamson. You remember this? Mm-hmm. Talked about Kevin Williamson from Scream writing one of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
His episode was going to take place entirely on a frozen crystal lake. It was described as an hour-long chase episode, and it was described as the series Red Wedding.
Okay.
So hopefully that still makes it to screen, because that sounds fucking badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are you guys thinking about this? It's looking like that the rumors are that the new showrunner is going to be Nick Acosta, who did Hannibal with Brian Fuller and also wrote a fantastic 1980s set Friday the 13th sequel that I've read, and it's a lot of fun. But what do you guys think of these revelations?
That's
It's a lot to talk
That's
about. Yeah.
That is.
It
It
is.
sounds like they're being very careful, which is good because you don't want to just like, throw some stuff out there. Like they're like, we really need to think about what we're doing here. Like,
I
Man,
mean,
you know what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You know what I'm trying to find? That's why my attention is a little. I'm trying to find what the budget was per episode of Fear Street. Because that's the closest thing I can think of recently that would be kind of like there's one episode specifically, but I just wanted to see, what they spent on theirs compared to like that just sounds ridiculous. $85 million for an 8 episode series.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're Game of Thrones when they were good?
Yeah. When they were good. It said that
I wondered if you
Netflix
catch
had around
that.
30 million per episode of Fear Street. So, 30, $30 million. So it'd be like a $30 million movie. And that's basically each one's a $30 million movie. So according to just a quick Google search, it was over 200 million per season. That can't be right. If it's 30 per episode and there's only 3, that's 90, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck that 200 million comes from, but so yeah, that's a high budget. I agree, Derek. Well, you think about the Friday the 13th movies. What were their budgets?
Yeah, they're only like the
$2 million.
Well, the originals, like the
movie?
newer ones,
Yeah.
have been like in like the I think 20s or their
20s
30s for the
Yeah,
movies.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I remember when we talked about the one that was made in 2009. I think it had a
The
budget of,
2009
like, $30
one
million.
had a budget of $19 million.
19. Yeah, see.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I can see where it would take a decent. I think they allotted for it to be something like $1.2 to $2 million per episode, which you would think would be about right with the amount of kills they've got to do and crew they've got to pay and actors they've got to pay. But like 10 million episodes, a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot.
So I don't know. I'm glad that it's still moving forward. I hope we see it in some form or fashion for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we need Jason back in our lives. We need you, Jay. We miss you. All right, guys. I mean, that news about Charlize Theron kind of blew my fucking mind. Not gonna lie. I was like, what? I'm not getting to see that? That sounds amazing. I don't know if you can make her look like Mrs. Voorhees. She's gonna have to. It's definitely gonna be like. It'd have to be like the Bates Motel situation where they got one of the most beautiful women in the world, Vera Farmiga, to play Norma Bates. So you're like,
yeah. I'm just picturing her
freaking
in
kinda
that blue sweater.
Yeah, I know. Because you're like, man, Norma Bates is she's kind of banging. Not gonna lie. All right, guys, picture it. Set the scene.
Sicily, 1978.
It's Sicily, 1971, actually. But for this one, but yes, picture it. It's the 70s. You just made a movie called The Exorcist, or not The Exorcist. You just made The Omen because The Exorcist was huge, and you have this movie and it's scary, and you start a franchise. It makes 3 films, and I can imagine then a direct to TV film, and then it has a remake. I can imagine them on the set of the first one, Dick Donner standing there next to Gregory Peck, and he's like, I imagine that in like 50 years they're going to make a movie that takes place before this one that's going to explain loose ends, and then maybe quite possibly create some continuity issues, but we'll get into that. And that's what we have now, because we are going back in time to the 70s in Italy, and we are watching The First Omen. So guys, this is all of our first watch with this, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So, do you guys remember when this was announced? We talked about it on this show, I do believe.
Yeah.
And I believe our exact words were,
I remember.
we were like, how are they going to do a prequel to The Omen?
Right? Yeah.
Right? We were just confused on it. What's it going to be about? Well, we now have our answer. This is what it's going to be about. It's going to be about the first movie, essentially.
The one that started them all.
One ring to rule them all. Essentially. So, guys, I don't know. Where do you guys want to start with this? Because what you guys... Where do you want to start?
So, you know what? I'm going to start. I'm going to start us off by talking about motive. Okay?
Yes.
The motive, like the reason why. Okay, well, I guess we got to explain a little bit before we get into this. So, like the subplot
hopefully
is
our viewers have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. So if you haven't, spoiler alerts. So, what the church has decided that the new generation is so radical and they're going away from the church that they're going to bring about the Antichrist to scare everybody, to herd the sheep back in to become closer to God. Generally, right? That's about the gist of it.
That's about the gist of it. Yeah.
Now, why you would have the I don't know, the thought in your mind that you, as a mere human, would be able to control being like the Antichrist, because that's what they want. They want to use him in that way. There's no way it's going to backfire.
Got a quick question for you guys. Wouldn't it have been easier to just pretend like somebody was the Antichrist? And then brought him closer.
They had a fucking demon in the basement.
Yeah, couldn't you just show that?
Yeah, be like, hey, look, this shit's real. There's a demon in our basement. Like that wouldn't have driven people. Oh my god, I gotta, repent my sins and shit like that. Like that's all the motivation you need. Instead, they just let him like rape people and
so yeah,
have weird offspring and sometimes girls.
So yes,
Lydia's like,
the
what's
motive.
your thought, Lydia?
What do you think of this? What are you thinking there, Lydia?
I think it's like it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it makes no sense that you would do that, but it also makes perfect sense that someone would do that.
The hubris, right? The hubris.
Yes,
it is
exactly.
the hubris.
And
I was trying to
the
think
control, the fear, all of it. It adds up.
I mean,
it adds up, but it's also the path of most resistance.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's desperation. Sounds like is what it is.
It's kind of nonsensical, to be honest, but it sounds 100% like something zealots would do if they had the means.
Exactly.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, because we did watch the first one, and it's been relatively recent, but, I have lots of stuff in my mind. Wasn't like, in that movie, there was a sub part of the group of the church that was evil. It was
Correct.
Just trying to bring about the Antichrist. So is that one of the things you meant by they retcon some shit? Because in this, it's like the whole church.
Well, it's like just that one, not the whole
one.
Catholic Church. It's not the whole Catholic Church. It's just this congregation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's still the same. No, what I have, we'll talk about it here in a second. First, I wanted to get your guys' gauge on the kind of overall feel of this thing. So, yes, that's the plot. That's what we're going for. The zealots are going to do. They're going to do their thing. What do you think of the way this story is kind of unfolded?
They need to shrink that shit down. It was like 2 hours long.
It's a little. It's a little long. It's a slow burn.
It is, and while it did ramp up, and I mean, I probably it's gonna sound terrible, but it's just the life I lead. I probably paid more attention to this movie than I had a couple of the last ones, and it's mainly because I like pre-talked to Jamie, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got some questions about this, and you kind of have to pay attention." So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna pay attention," and I'm just like, man, this is a really long movie, and I didn't even speed it up. So then it was like in real time. Just like, God damn it.
It's
Trim that fat.
I liked
What do you
it.
think,
I liked
Lydia?
the speed of it. I liked the speed of it. I've been like rushing around all week. And I was like panicking, I was a little bit late because I was like, I have to get this movie in my busy schedule right now. So I put it on and I was like, it was nice to just be able to sit down and watch a scary movie at this pace. Kind of brought me back down from my franticness.
So I am kind of in the middle of both of you because I do appreciate the slow burn, but I also agree with Derek that there's some stuff that could be trimmed. I think there's some fat on this guy that could be trimmed down a little bit. I like the deliberate pacing, but we kind of get the same scene multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I think like some of the scares in the beginning, like
the scares in the beginning do not work. They do not work.
No, they don't.
Actually, I think the opening of this movie doesn't really work from what they try to do. First of all, it's telegraphed. We 100% know what's happening, which is fine because they're setting it up at the beginning. But I just don't love the execution of like the split head. It's kind of cool, I guess, but it just didn't have the impact that I felt like it should. But I'll talk about it now. What I'm confused about is the character of Father Brennan, right? I'm 100% confused about him. Because in the original Omen, he is basically an Satanist, essentially, that had turned his back on God and had joined the cult and then repented when he got cancer, right? And he's the one that's telling, Robert Thorne, hey, your son is the Antichrist, right? And he's the one that's leading him to it. In this movie, he's just 100% the good guy. Right? Like, he's the one trying to bring down the conspiracy.
Yeah.
That's kind of
But he
like...
doesn't
Yeah, I didn't
know
really
a lot.
I didn't connect, honestly.
That he was the
And
same character?
I didn't either, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wish I
He's
would
the same
have,
priest. He's the priest that
I
gets
did-
killed with the spike.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I did, but I was also unsure about it because the
Yes.
first scene where you see him, it showed like the first clip is him looking up, like he's
Yes.
about to get impaled, right?
Yes,
So-
yes. And the actor they
Mhm.
cast as him, by the way, is fucking perfect because he looks just
Oh,
like the
he's my
guy.
Favorite. He's my favorite, and
he
he did
did,
look
yeah,
just like
no.
him.
Yeah.
He was great. And actually, I'm a little surprised. His name is escaping me right now, but the priest that they killed at the beginning. I'm a little shocked that they burned him so early because he's a really great actor.
He is, but it's just a cameo.
Yeah, I was like, who
I
was
know,
that?
but I love him. He
it's,
was in Game of Thrones. He was in Last Action Hero.
It's Charles Dance.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's Charles
I've definitely
Dance.
seen him in a lot of things.
And of course, Bill Nye's
that
in this.
guy.
As soon as I saw him, as soon as I saw Bill Nye, I was like, oh, he's a fucking villain.
Yeah.
100%.
Science guy?
Not Bill Nye. Jesus Christ. I will say this, guys. I kind of called the twist of this literally from the
100%.
very beginning.
100%.
It's like terribly obvious, isn't it?
It is
terribly obvious. And the reveal does not land at all because you're like, yeah.
I've been expecting this to happen the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't-
Actually, it would have been a twist if it wasn't her.
I agree. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe the twist is going to be that it's somebody else. And then when she starts
Yeah.
looking at it, I was like, nope, here it comes.
Yeah. Well, the reveal did kind of work for me because I was going back and forth so much. Like, I did not know what to expect. You know, it didn't.
Oh,
It was like it was too obvious. Where it was like, well, it can't be that.
no, I knew it. I knew it from the beginning. And then as the movie went on further, I was more and more sure of my position. Right, Derek? You too?
Mm-hmm.
Like, as the more and more...
There was only like a 2-minute window where I was like, maybe they set that up to be so obvious that they twisted it at the end, but then that only lasted
Immediately
Like,
when she
okay.
blacked out at
I was
the
right.
club, immediately when she blacked out at the club, I was like, oh, just got impregnated. I was like, there it is. Just knew it. Just
Now, I
knew
did
it.
not jump to that conclusion.
Oh, I did.
I did.
I
yeah,
thought
for sure.
she like killed somebody or did
Oh,
something
no.
bad.
No.
But man, I rewound it because I was like, man, spider crawled off of her face. Wait a second, was that on her eye, like on her eyelash?
Yeah.
Wait, Lydia, you thought that she got impregnated at that point too?
Yeah, I was like, well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
She woke up, couldn't remember anything.
And then her friend's like, oh, well, I stopped you before you could do anything, but you did some stuff. And I was like, oh, 100% she got impregnated by the demon. That's where it happened.
And I was like, I really thought that friend was so gorgeous, and I wanted her to
she's
be a
stunning.
good guy, but I was
She's
like,
stunning.
dang it, she's a bad guy.
Yeah, I knew she was bad too. I was like, she's like the devil on the shoulder. I knew that. And then the other scare that should have been like a big one that didn't work for me because it's a rehash of the first movie is when the sister self-immolates and hangs herself off the...
Yeah.
It didn't work for me.
Mm-mm.
They just like had to have it in there.
They did. I felt like the execution wasn't... It was lacking to me. I was like, because the CG, you can't obviously catch somebody on fire for real like that, like the actor. So that just was digital fire, and I was like, meh.
Yeah,
And I think it would have been even more effective if she
okay.
just would have. I think it would have been better if she just would have fucking jumped off there.
Yeah, I kind of thought,
and splattered. That would have been, I think, more effective.
Yeah.
Right? Because then it's
I
just
thought she was
shocking,
going
and
to
they're like,
because all the little girls were playing like Ring Around the Posy or whatever, and they all laid down on the ground like dead bodies.
yeah,
And I was like, jump off, like she's gonna jump off for sure.
that
was my thought too.
I think that's the route I would have went.
That would have been a great image.
Yeah.
Would they had it right there.
Plus, it would have been more, I think, more surprising and like impactful. But it's fine. It is what it is. They had to have that scene from the first movie where and this is all for you. She had to say that because that was said in the first movie. And then, so guys, let's talk about, I know Derek's absolute favorite scene, the where she witnesses the childbirth.
All of the childbirthing. No. I've witnessed 2 children being birthed, and I had to watch a video twice in college about this, and I'm just over it. I don't need to see that anymore.
I've had my fill.
I'm good.
Especially when fucking demon hands are popping out of vages. You don't like that?
I mean, that was kind of cool.
It was a really... I think that's like the most gnarly scene. I was like...
cool. Kind of.
I mean,
cool,
yeah,
Derek.
you don't see that all every day.
I mean, it was I think it was probably the gnarliest part of the movie. Like, I was like, oh, they went there. They went there. All right.
Yeah.
So, because it felt safe for the longest time. And then that happened, and I was like, oh, okay. Okay.
Right, because this is when we start getting into it, because the scares at first are like, what is this? This is
lame sauce. Lame
Lame.
sauce scares.
Lame, bad jump scares that don't even work.
And then we also get like...
And then you get that, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm listening.
There's one thing I don't love, is like these drone shots where it goes... And I was like, what are we doing here, guys? Just establish the shot. What are we doing here? But yeah, then the movie starts off proper. I think that's when because you had to have that first act to establish her and everything. I get that in her backstory, but I think it just they spend a little too much time on it, and then we get too many scenes of her walking around in the church. I think I got kind of nun vibes. You know what I mean with it.
She was a nun.
There's one scene that was effectively creepy to me was
sorry.
when she was seeing the girl, what's the little girl's name? Carlita. When they have Carlita locked away in the bad room, and she sees her, and she looks down the hall, and she sees that one nun, and she's like, crying, and then she sees her, she's like, and you're just kind of like, and then she like just walks away with the other nun. I would have been like, did you fucking see that? Did you see that over there? What the fuck is that about? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Nope, she just was quiet about the whole thing.
But because she has a history of hallucinations.
She does. She does.
And I think when she's trying to like convey like how she beat it, she really didn't beat it. She just
ignored
seems to ignore it or suppress it like it's not real. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's not. She was having like real visions, is the thing, because she is the the half spawn of Satan. So she actually has sex with her demon father at the end of the movie, in the impregnating scene.
Here's a question I have for you guys, and this is going to be jumping ahead a little bit, but man, this has probably bugged me more than anything. You're the spawn, like not her, but like the creature in the basement,
right?
They just set it on fire, and it burned there. I don't understand that. Do you see? You know what I'm saying? Like, she's like burning.
They were like, just leave them both in there to die.
Well, when they said that, I assume they meant the mom and the little girl, the baby girl.
Oh.
But then the demon was still down there, and it was just like, I can't get out. I'm gonna lay here and burn to death.
Yeah, well, I guess the demon's like a jackal, right? Like a demonic jackal. Yeah, kind of what it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a demon jackal, because remember we find out that in the original Exorcist, in the original Omen, we have the lore is that Damien was born of a jackal. Now this whole time we just assumed that the mother was a jackal and the father was Satan.
That's what I assumed.
But that's not it. It's the father is the jackal. And so when they open the
supposed to be a dog.
Well, it's like a hell jackal, I guess, a demon jackal.
I feel like this is up in the air.
No, I think this is pretty definitive of what they were talking about. But
well, no, I assumed too in the first one that the mother was a jackal. That's what I thought.
Well, yeah, that's what it's supposed to. That's what it originally was.
Yeah.
But in this one, we find out. We know that the father is the jackal.
Yes.
Because the mother is her.
So it could have been that either that thing burned up and they buried the bones.
Well, that's what they do. That's what they do. Because remember,
when they just put an actual jackal skeleton.
I'm assuming they put just its burnt body. So assuming they put its burnt body in there.
Because the problem that I have with that is that thing was like giant, and jackals are.
It was big.
Small.
You know what it looked like, guys? It looked like fucking the Zool creatures from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it kind of did.
There is no Dana, only Zool.
It didn't look bad though.
No, but we only see glimpses, which is for the best.
Yeah.
Because I think if they just would have showed that thing, it would have went straight into Campville. I think.
Yeah.
The movie would have steered straight to Campville. And it's trying to have a more serious tone. So.
What do you think of the tone?
The tone is. I like. I think that it's fine. Because I know what they're going for. They're going for that prestige feeling of the prestige. You know how the Omen felt like a movie, right? It felt like a world-class movie. That's how we described it. It's an A-budget, big studio horror film, and it has class to it, right? They're trying to lean into that class with giving us our new gnarly scares, which they do with the hand and out of the vajay, and then the car crash. Which, by the way, guys, I got to talk about this. When he gets hit by the car, we've got to figure out a way in cinema to stage that scene differently that you do not see the car hit coming every time. Because I 1,000,000% was like, he's going to get hit by a car, and he did.
Yeah. And is it impossible? Maybe.
No, it's not. You shoot it from like a different angle, or you kind of like shoot it to where it's not like coming, where he's here in frame and it hits. You could do it like, like I said, from in front or behind. They're having a conversation, and I know you have to kind of lead the viewer to it so they can understand visually the cinematic language of what's happening. But or maybe even mess with the timing a little bit because it's just almost always on rhythm. Boom, hit by the car. The only one that ever worked was the first Final Destination.
Really? I've seen several car smashes work that I didn't expect.
That one is the best is that one, and even the Bride of Chucky has a really fucking good one too.
What do you think of the Meet Joe Black one?
I was gonna say Meet Joe Black. I was gonna say Meet Joe Black
one is the worst one of all time. Boink boink. Like, fucking pin. You mean Pinball Brad?
I thought it was unexpected the first time I saw it.
I think it was cartoonish for sure, but it was unexpected. I didn't expect that to happen.
Well, it was unexpected because you're watching a Brad Pitt romantic movie. You don't know what the fuck's going on, but when he gets hit by the car, it's fucking hilarious. So instead of being shocked, you're like, "What is his body doing?" You just want to yell, "Tilt!"
Jay!
See, that's how you do a car crash. You just have to have him run out in the middle of the street. But
you know what I did like about the car crash scene?
Mm-hmm.
I did like that, like he's pinned there, and she's like consoling him, and for whatever reason, she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna get you out of this. Hold on to me," and then she fucking rips his torso, and she's just like, "I don't know."
See, that's where I think they were like, "We need to redeem how bad that just looked."
Yeah,
how scary different. How not scary that was, and then they were like, "Yeah, we'll do this."
This gnarly.
This is actually one of the things that I didn't like about this movie was that the gore was nasty, like realistically nasty, and they like really. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing for horror movies. I'm just saying for me personally, I was like, I hate that so much.
I like.
I couldn't look. I couldn't look at that scene. I was. Like,
I did. I looked. I even paused it to see how good it is.
I'm gonna take it all in.
I love obviously realistic. I mean, obviously we want it to look great. We do more exaggerated gore, so it's even bloodier and bigger than it possibly should be because that's what we do personally. But I think the gore effects were great in this. I like even the vagine scene was gross and spooky.
Yes, and I was fine with that. I was fine with all the other stuff. I guess it's for me personally. I guess it's just probably my PTSD, but I can't look at traumatic accidents. Like
that's what it was
in a gory way.
So let me ask you this, Lydia: if instead of being hit by a car and ripped in half, what if Victor Crowley just had walked up and ripped him in half, literally that same way?
Absolutely fine.
So it's the car accident that you were hung up with.
That's what I'm saying. It's totally personal.
It's not the gore. It's the
gore looks
the car accident.
Too good. The gore looks too good, and the trauma that I know that she would have after that really affects me.
Well, she only knew him for like a minute, and then he, betrayed her to Satan. So he gets what he deserves.
Cried, though,
that's
so
what
she felt bad about it.
She didn't know that.
She
was like, I like that guy.
I agree, but then afterwards, she's probably like, "Fuck that guy! I'm glad he was ripped in half."
Yeah, this is the thing that I kind of started to think about later was the moral, quarrels that were happening here with the friend taking her out, and like.
Well, that lady had no quarrel. She was all.
Well, of course she didn't because she was part of the Satan cult.
Yeah,
I know, but so was that guy, and he.
Well, yeah.
You could tell that he was.
They were setting her up for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which that one, I'm not going to lie to you. Didn't expect her to be so on board.
Exactly, and that's what I mean.
Yeah,
it's like
you guys are wild.
Overly on board.
You guys, her to be on board. I thought you meant the friend to be bad.
No, I didn't expect the friend to be like so bad, like so into it. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Like if she was in on it, that would have been fine. But like, I didn't expect her to just be like a fucking sleeper cell,
I
secret agent.
100% did.
It was
Soon
just
as
like,
I
oh,
met
I
her,
gotcha.
soon as I met
It's
her,
like,
I thought she was like the nanny from The Omen, because that's kind of what her role is,
yes.
right?
Well, that,
Yeah.
and I mean, like, it gives me like Rosemary's Baby
Cool.
vibes.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
this is like a good kind of mix between between
yeah.
those two classic horror movies, I think. You know,
Yes,
it's
yes.
even like you said. What did you just say?
She's like the
Chocolate
nanny from
taco.
The Omen.
The Omen. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking
Yeah.
of a third movie too, but no,
No,
I
just
lost
this
it.
one.
But
But
those two.
yeah, definitely those two. And the as far as the story goes, and I think that first of all, I think the performances from everybody are great across the board. I think everybody's great in this
Mm-hmm.
movie. I don't think there's a bad actor. I don't think there's a weak character performance. I think some of the characters are underwritten. I 100% knew that the mentor was a bad guy and had been setting her up her whole life. The only thing that I was shocked about and was like confused about was that Father Brennan was such like just a straight up hero through this thing, and like it's just weird to me because
They
he's like,
retconned it.
hey, they're gonna do, because we open the movie with him taking confession from the other father that tells him about this conspiracy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he gives him the photographs and said, this is what's happening. It's a conspiracy. And then basically Father Brennan from that point on is like trying to convince these other people about it.
Do you think that they will make another movie after this?
I think they planned on it. I don't know if they will. This movie only made $54 million
Because they could, yeah.
on a $30 million budget. So,
Hmm.
but I think maybe here's the thing, because it was well received critically. It did well critically, but we got to talk about the ending too. So that's the one part that intrigued me, was how are they going to end this movie? Because we know Damien has to be born, because
Right.
Mm-hmm.
this is the first Omen. This isn't the last Omen. You know what I mean? Like, we know that
So-
Damien has to be born. So
I
I was wondering, how are they going? They're definitely. Are they going to completely? I don't think they're going to completely kill her and have us end with a complete downer. So what are they going to do? How are they going to explain where she's not around? So what did you think, Lydia?
I thought that it was going to be like she stops the first Omen, basically. Like that's what I thought it was going to be. Like she
I thought
like
maybe
becomes
that was
like
a possibility. I thought
Yeah.
maybe that was going to be a possibility at first. Like, yeah, maybe she's going to, stop the first Omen and end it, and then we're going to get like a closing, like a stinger scene where they're like, we have another one that was born, and then that's actually
Right,
Damien.
yeah.
But
This
as we
was
got
better.
close, as we got closer to the end, I was like, no, this is definitely going to be Damien that's born. But how are we going to get, like, I don't know. I don't think they're going to kill her. But what is the point of it being twins?
Right, because now we know that there's another,
Is it
possibly several
so?
other.
I'm thinking maybe it's so we can have a sequel that's set after the final conflict, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this character is still out there now and has been born of the jackal, and maybe that could start another Antichrist. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I can think of. Because it's kind of weird. When it was born, I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys about this. Before we get to like the actual ending, when we get the scene where we after they start to burn the church down, and we get the scene of Gregory, we see Gregory Peck's fucking photo, right? And they're like, Robert Thorne is, this is whose family we're going to give it to, and we see all that stuff. It's showing like a montage of stuff, and they're talking about him spreading darkness, and we're getting like, we see like fade ins, and we get the baby, and it starts to play like the Omen theme, This was like the anti ending. This is like the like the bizarro ending of fucking Revenge of the Sith, where we where we get Luke and Leia born, right, and then Obi-Wan, or Bail Organa takes Leia, and then Obi-Wan delivers Luke to Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru. Hands him to him. Here you go, guys. And we get like, he's standing there watching over him on the twin sons, and we get the da-na-na-na-na. This is like that. I think they watched that movie and they're like, let's do that, but except for fucking evil.
I'm so glad you thought the same thing, because I was definitely getting Luke and Leia vibes.
Yeah, there's like twins of them. I just expected her to be like, Damien. Like, let's call him Damien.
Yeah, exactly. Did you
so...
think that she was going to stab that baby, though?
No, I just didn't think they were going to go
there.
there.
Ruin the...
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I honestly thought...
I thought she might...
swap.
Yes, I thought she might
stab
stab the baby.
Swap the girl, and she's going to kill the girl.
That's what I
had that thought, too.
Because it had the stuff covering the genitals when it showed the other baby.
That would have been
the afterbirth.
Twisted. Yeah.
And so, I
mean, that's been really twisted. If they
might have been where my Derek and my mind would have went, so you can see what we would have done with this movie. But
yep. That's super twisted.
Yeah, but I didn't think they would because of like what Derek said. I was like, because my mind's racing. So the ending of this movie is pretty decent because I didn't know, like I knew that Damien was going to obviously survive because we have to. That's the kind of that's the downfall of prequels, right? Because you know what the destination is. But I was like, I don't know how they're going to get there, so I'm kind of interested. And then the one thing I don't love, I like that Carlita. Is that her name, Carlita? Is that what it was? Yeah, Carlita. I like that Carlita saves her. Do not love the execution of her saving her with the. I don't. It was a little bit fromage to me, which means cheese, by the way. So, but it was yeah, it was fine. It was fine. But I do like that she lived too. But the one thing I can't get over is the Father Brennan. Is it now? Was he actually in on the cult? But that wouldn't make sense. Why would he be trying to get her aborted? You know what I mean? If he was in on it, and it would make more sense if he would have said, "Yeah, come with me," and then he leads them to him. But they wreck his car.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird discrepancy. I read about it. I read some posts on it to see, and everybody else is kind of like, oh, it's kind of just the way they wanted this.
That's why I'm like, maybe if they like made another one, they could be like, oh, he was bad the whole time, because the fact that he comes back at the end.
But he does it to warn her.
By
though.
the way,
He comes to warn her, though. He comes to warn her that, hey, they know you're alive. Be prepared. It's not over. And she's like, get the fuck out of here. And guys, I've got to say, the ending is kind of not my jam. When she says, by the way, they named your child Damien. And it like does that cut. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd you feel about that?
When he was like walking towards that like shed with the wood pile, I was like, watch out for that wood pile. Don't, because that's how he died in The Witch.
You could get a splinter.
Yeah.
No, The Witch, when he gets all the logs falling in.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think of this ending, Derek?
I'm slightly indifferent. I do think it was a little cheesy. The way the very end where he says Damien.
Yeah, the very end.
Kind of cheesy, but like, you know,
I like that they're like off on their way.
Cool.
That's fine.
Yeah, I know. Like they're in hiding, and that they are surviving, and
the fact that
they're raising that little girl.
Yeah,
yeah. If he found him, the other folks can find him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, how did he find him?
Yeah.
Well, how's
Maybe
he
she
good?
wrote to her.
How's everything? Dear Father Brennan,
that's
here's where we are. What are you doing here? You wrote me. Oh, I forgot about that. I have selective amnesia. Much like you do from your satanic days in Future's lore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Weird. Weird.
that's interesting. But no, I mean, I agree with that. And that's the First Omen, you guys. There's some good, some not so great, and some great stuff in this. So, um, what do you guys think about this?
I've got mine. I'm ready to
Okay,
go.
give it to us.
All right.
Hit me
So I
with your
think the
best shot.
cinematography was pretty good. I thought the
Yeah.
acting was really good. They got some really great actors.
Mhm.
Really, the biggest knock I have against this movie is it just felt a little long. I mean, but other than
So
that, go ahead.
here's something. Before you continue, Derek. So we got to talk about. We've got to sing the praise of these actresses. Neil Tiger Free is great as Margaret, our lead. She's fantastic. Ralph Inson is who played Father Brennan. He's great. And Sonia Braga plays Sister Silva, who's the head mistress and all this stuff. Charles Dance, Bill Nye, we talked about. But I'm going to check something real fast before you continue with your thing. So the Omen, the original Omen, is 111 minutes. This one is 119 minutes. So it's only 8 minutes longer. But so continue your thoughts. Because I have
it there were just moments where I feel like it wasn't progressing. It was just for the sake of, like, I don't know, making the movie longer. You know what I mean? Like, one of the scenes that comes to mind, I can't remember if there was anything of substance in it, was like whenever they went to the it looked like they went to a museum and she was going to talk to her. Like, I feel like maybe you could have cut that out. I don't know that it was super necessary. But yeah, so now my rating, I probably would have rated it a little bit higher, but I'm going to do it because of the movie that it is. I'm going to give this movie a 6.65 because it could have been better.
Dang, that's pretty low, Derek.
I know. I probably should have given this movie a 7. But I'm going to give it a 6.65.
Okay. Lydia.
Yeah, I thought the acting was. I really liked this movie, actually. I don't mind a long movie.
I don't mind
unless I'm running late, and then I'm like, this movie needs to hurry. But
chop.
I mean, Zodiac is like my favorite movie, and I think that's like 3 hours. So
Zodiac is fucking enthralling the entire time, Lydia. That's the difference.
That's true. That's true. But I think the one thing that I specifically do like about this movie is the feeling that you are really in, like, the 60s. Like
70s.
I like
it's
the 70s. I like the 70s.
So
like
maybe it doesn't
70s,
do a good
right?
job of establishing its time period.
No. Okay, what I mean is, I don't even mean like the movie is set then. I mean, it kind of looks like it's filmed then. Like, it gives me the same feeling as watching The Omen. Except it is definitely modern, but like the things that they are doing with, like, the text on the screen, like when it's over, I'm like, there's something like slightly, fuzzy about it or something, and I'm like, yes, I like that. I like all of this, and I like when the Omen music kicks in, and I'm like, yeah, it feels similar, and that's what I want. I want that out of new movies. I want them to feel similar to old movies. That's just me personally. I thought, besides a couple of the scares that I thought were annoying, I thought this movie was pretty scary. Like, pretty graphic, I think they took it there for some of them. Not all of them. But I do think this movie is higher than a 6 for me. I would have said maybe a 9. Because this is
a little higher.
You don't think so?
No.
No.
You go with a 9,
no,
Lydia.
baby.
If you want to go for a 9, you go for a 9.
You go however you want, but no.
I think for me, like, some horror movies that are coming out are just like too modern for me, and I just really appreciated this throwback.
So
What do you got to say?
here's where I'm going to disagree. I think this movie feels 100% modern. That's part of the problem for me. I think it feels like a modern movie with the gore, with the stuff it shows. The pacing feels more older school, but um, I
Maybe
also
that's what
agree.
it is.
I think with Derek, I agree. I don't think it looks old. I think it definitely looks like a modern movie. I agree that it could be a little bit trimmed off. And what I told Derek, or when I mentioned that the time, so the Omen is 111 minutes, or it's 111 minutes long. This one's 119 minutes long, only 8 minutes longer. The reason I think it feels longer is because the Omen, right? For those 111 minutes, you're watching Gregory fucking Peck. That's why this one feels longer. As great as the actors are, they're not Gregory Peck. You know what I mean? That's another level. You're watching like a film icon and a star, and you're also watching Richard fucking Donner direct it, who would just go on after that to make, oh, I don't know, Superman, the movie, just a few years after that. And then, oh, I don't know, go on to do all of the Lethal Weapons. You know, it's like we're on a different level with the other Omen. So it's definitely not going to reach that high. It can't.
Right.
It can't possibly. It can't possibly. So it's almost unfair to compare it to it. But it is a prequel to it, so you have no choice but to. Right? I am going to give this movie about a 7. Maybe a 7.5, but about a 7 for me. Because I think it's solid. I didn't think it was particularly scary. Nothing about it creeped me out. I appreciated it. I liked it. I don't even think I got like a jump scare landed.
Can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like this movie was directed similarly to Smile?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I think the pacing is similar, and the shot selections are similar. I think he tries to ape Richard Donner's style. I think he's very talented. I think he's good. I think he did a good. I think she did a good job. It's Arcacia Stevenson is the director of this. I think she did a great job, and I think she's trying to emulate Donner's style, especially with the shot of him looking up at the beginning, and then showing the device that's going to kill the priest is very much in the vein of the First Omen movie. And that's why I liked the opening. It's just the impact when that bar hits. I didn't think it you know what I mean? The impact wasn't there. So it just was kind of like he just went, ugh. And then I'm fine. And then he turns around, you see it, and you're like, think you should be on the ground, buddy. You don't have half your hip. But it's fairly effective. But I think that this is her feature film debut, by the way. And she also co-wrote it. So I think there's some growing pains. I think it's good. I don't hate it at all. I would watch it again. I just don't think it was. I was kind of hoping for it to be a little bit better for me, because I was reading great things about it, and I'm like, ooh, you know, getting back. Let's see this Omen coming back, baby. And then I watched it, and it was okay. So what I will say though, that's different than Derek, is I enjoyed some of those slow scenes of character building. I like that because I like the Ty West style sometimes. If you're in the mood for like a Ty West style horror movie where it slow burns, and it's definitely slow burns, and you're getting character moments, and it feels like a 70s grindhouse movie or a 70s art house movie, and you're just kind of spending time with these characters. The problem is where it drops us in with Margaret makes it kind of hard for us to relate to her as normies, right? Because we don't, especially if you're not Catholic, if you're not religious like me or Derek or you, then it's a completely different world for us.
Right, yeah.
I will say
definitely.
One of the most effective scenes, one of the scariest scenes in the movie for me, is when she's going through the ritual to become a nun. I'm like,
yes.
What in the fucking cult is this shit?
Yes, dude. Yes. seriously, me and Jake were both like the most freaked out at that.
That's the scariest part of the movie, and I think she nails that because I'm like, what is this how it's done? Because I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a straight up no for me, dog. So yeah, I mean, I talked myself into it. It's a 7.5. I don't dislike the movie. I think it's well shot. I think it's well directed. It just doesn't reach the bar I was kind of hoping for. Also, one of the things that make me laugh, this is nothing crazy, but it makes me laugh that she's walking around with like a fucking actual like lantern in the 70s.
One.
I'm
Dude,
like,
I want one.
come on, guys, fucking
That's
spring
me.
for a flashlight.
I'm walking around 2024 with a lantern. That's literally, you should
Look.
see my house full of candlesticks everywhere.
Look, we used a lantern in Hookman. I mean, it's a LED lantern, so it's modern, but of all the things that she could have, she walks out with the lantern because it looks the best. That's why she used it, because it looks the coolest when you're walking around in the dark.
It does, yeah.
In
I like
this-
to feel like Scrooge.
In the short, or in the feature, guys, in the opening to the movie, we have flashlights because it's 2024, so they're walking around with flashlights. So that's the First Omen, guys. So 6.65, 9, right smack dab in the middle with 7.5. Because it's it's good. It's good. It didn't break the world for me, but it didn't disappoint me very much either. It just is really solid movie. Who would Tom Atkins play in this?
Thrill me.
I mean, I guess he'd
The
have to
demon.
play, the demon.
The jackal.
Because he gets that.
Because he gets
Pang?
He closed the deal where the other guy couldn't.
I think
Yeah,
he
I
would
mean-
be
It's terrible.
the good guy.
Oh,
Father
he'd be
Brennan.
he'd fucking crush that. Yeah, sure. I like that.
Even though I really like that guy. Wouldn't want to replace him.
No, he's a great actor, but we'd replace our mothers with Tom Atkins if we had to. Tom, number 1. All right, whose turn is it to pick? Be yours, right,
Lydia's.
D-Man?
I think it's
Nope,
mine.
Oh, it is yours.
It's
Yeah, it is your turn.
Lydia's.
Yes.
That's right,
Okay,
Derek. Because
so-
last week you picked the other movie we watched last week,
Mhm. The Gate.
Monster Squad 2.0, The Gate.
Yeah. I think it's funny how like sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, I can't think of a single movie, and then there's like times like tonight where I'm like, oh, I have so many that I want to pick now.
Interesting.
But last week I've been thinking about this all week, and I
Die
think I
Hard,
wanna
right?
Do
Die Hard.
I think Die Hard is the one. I think it's time. No, but
I mean,
I
I'll
want
fucking
to
watch
get
Die
your
Hard.
guys's. Huh?
I said I'll fucking watch Die Hard.
Okay, all right. So
Don't give me an excuse. You need our what?
I think I need your guys' help because I want to pick something from the Conjuring universe.
Okay.
Do we want to do?
I think we have to
Annabelle,
go.
which,
Yes.
in order. Okay,
Yes.
Annabelle, not
I
the
think so.
Conjuring 3.
Correct. I think you're right.
All right, let's. Annabelle, it is.
Okay. Next week, did you see where Annabelle is streaming?
Nope.
I'm the only one that does this.
Dang it! I always.
I had mine
forget.
ready.
You did. You did good last time. Annabelle is streaming on Hulu, Sling TV, YouTube. You can rent it off YouTube, Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, or Google Play. Fandango at home. Unfortunately, it's not available on Fubi, which is unfortunate because everything should be available on Fubi.
Fubo?
Fubo, that's it. We gotta watch some Fubo, guys.
That sounds like an alien from something.
Fubo. Yeah.
I don't know.
So next week, Annabelle, the first one. That's just what it's called, Annabelle.
Annabelle, the first one.
Annabelle, the first Annabelle, and we're gonna call all movies that are the first one of them. We're gonna call it the first that everything.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
first Annabelle.
yeah, the first Annabelle. And if we do like a movie that's a sequel, we're gonna say the second, even if it's called something else, like like
The
James Bond
second
movies.
Annabelle.
James Bond movies are called like Doctor No, From Rush with Love. Russia Would Love would be the second James Bond.
Love it.
All right, guys. That'll do it for tonight. Derek, do you have a story for us? You want to tell us the origin of your haircut?
What?
Not of your current haircut, of the monk.
I mean, I just buzzed my hair and let it grow out. It's the natural way of life.
It's a natural. No, do you have a good story for us? That was incredibly weird.
Oh.
All of that. Every bit of what just occurred was so fucking weird.
You had like bubbles popping up. You were like, scratching.
I think it registered my thumb.
It did. But you're scratching your fucking belly, bubbles
like
popping up.
Opera.
Woo! You fucking turn into Pavarotti.
Derek, you're just effortless.
You're a fucking mess. You're just a mess.
Sometimes I am. Man, I'm trying to think of something.
That reminded me of that when I was little. We lived out in the country, and our neighbor was like pretty. Like we had like one neighbor. They're like pretty far away. Like I don't know, half a mile down the road or something. And like occasionally on like a still summer day, we'd be playing in the yard, and we would just start hearing like singing, and we would like get to the edge of our property and listen. And this neighbor would be on his lawnmower mowing his yard, just singing opera. And we realized that he was like singing like cuss words. I swear one time we just maybe we were just, I don't know, maybe that was just in our heads that he was doing that, but we were like very convinced that he was singing cuss word opera very loudly.
Where was this? Where did you live?
My address was no, I'm just kidding. It's
in the Peru area, right?
Yeah, it was on the Peru-Wabash County lines.
Well, yeah.
So on the edge of Peru.
He probably was shouting, singing cuss words. I mean, we lived in a town with a dick tree. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
Oh my. Hey, Derek, do you have any other stories about taking mouth guards out of people's mouth or anything like that?
Oh, that was a good one.
This is the best story Derek's told, besides him getting shit on. Those are the two best stories.
Not that one. I did just have one in mind. Let's see. Did I ever tell you the time I delivered a pizza to a guy's house that didn't have a foot?
He didn't have a foot?
I know you told us about the one with the kid with no eyeball.
Yeah, the little girl.
Yeah.
So by the way, if like money was not like a concern of mine, I loved being a pizza delivery guy. That was my favorite job of all time, was being a pizza delivery guy. But anyway, it's beside the point. So one time I was working at Pizza Quick, and I had a delivery, and I drove out to the guy's house, and it was a couple pizzas, and I knock on the door, and he answers. He has some crutches. Right? I'm busy holding the pizza, and he's like, oh, come in and set them on the table. So I walk in, and I set them on the table, and I turn around, and I'm like, oh, so what happened? I look down, and he doesn't have a foot. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. But I felt so embarrassed because I didn't realize it right off the bat, and I brought attention to it, and I felt terrible.
Did you ask him, hey, did you lose that while singing fucking curse words opera and cutting your lawn?
Right.
It was kind of out in the country, so it could have fit.
Maybe it was. Man, yeah, that would be awkward. I mean, I told you about when my my 6th grade teacher didn't have a finger. And so he just was missing this pinky. I never didn't know it at first. Early in the school year.
In 6th grade, right?
Yeah, so you know who it is. Just don't name him. But
yeah.
We're walking around, or he's walking around the classroom, and he gets to my desk, and he puts his hand on my desk, and I see he only has, see he's missing a finger, and instinctively I go, ah! And he's like, oh, what happened? And I lied and said there was like a spider that I saw, but it was really because he only had 4 digits. I didn't want to say, bro, you're missing a finger. What do you mean?
Where'd your finger go?
Yeah, so I just was like, there's a spider. I knew it, you son of a bitch. I just knew it.
Terrible.
I knew it. That's our show. Be sure to comment down below on if you know any great opera singers that mow their lawn. Tell us your thoughts on the Omen, the first Omen. Hell, even the second or third Omen. We'll do all of the Omens. Be sure to comment down below. All right, let me compose myself. Oh my god. Anyway, be sure to comment down below on all of your favorite moments from this movie. What do you think? Do you think it's as good as the original Omen? Do you think that it can use some, some help? Let us know down below. Be sure to comment on this. I'm sorry, I'm all confabulated. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. For Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I am Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies. Derek sent me a text, Lydia.
Yeah.